We'll be outlining all of our program well before the election, but on climate change, we will have more to say this year. We will have more to say this year about our positive plans. We've already outlined net zero by 2050. We've already outlined our Rewiring the Nation plan, a $20 billion commitment. We've outlined our commitment to solar energy through community batteries. We've outlined our plan to ensure that Australians can fill those jobs through our new energy apprenticeships program. And we've outlined our plan to support new industries and to support transitions of existing industries with our $15 billion National Reconstruction Fund. All of these are major contributions towards what we would do in the short, medium and long term, and we'll have more to say before the election. The government dropped out its modelling late on a Friday night. That shows that they don't think it stacks up. And we'll be examining that in detail. We'll be prosecuting the case when Parliament resumes on these issues, and we'll be, as I said, having more to say this year about what our positive plans are to secure Australia's future.
So it's almost mid-November, so we'll do it in the next 6 weeks, you're saying. Has Shadow Cabinet settled Labor's climate policy and targets yet, or is it still up to
No.
debate within the party? You haven't?
No, I reckon there's a fair chance, Jean, that you'd know about it if we did. So we will continue to work in a positive way, but the difference is that the Labor Party all accepts the science on climate change, and we also all accept the opportunity that is there. So what we'll have is a considered response, one that has the support of our united party, not one that says one thing in one area and the opposite somewhere else, not something that goes to the Toyota factory that the current coalition government told to leave Australia and pretend that we're concerned about jobs. What you won't see also is the sort of nonsense of pretending that electric vehicles would end the weekend and then kind of saying that they're all okay and will reach 90% without any policies to actually drive that change. We will make electric vehicles cheaper by removing the fringe benefits tax and by removing excise. That's a practical plan to make it cheaper. What we have from the Prime Minister is pretending he cares about climate change, but at the same time trying to run a scare campaign about action on climate change. And that just undermines the whole point which is there. Look, we'll make all our announcements at an appropriate time. We'll do all of that. It will be there for everyone to see. But we say this when it comes to the shift on electric vehicles, a shift that the government's modelling says, will lead to 90% electric vehicles by 2050, and that the government says there'll be 1.7 million electric vehicles in operation by 2030. What we'll do is make electric vehicles cheaper. We've said that. And I say this about some of the government's dishonest rhetoric. And Scott Morrison is getting a bit of a reputation. It's one thing to lie to foreign leaders, but this Prime Minister lies to the Australian public when it comes to electric vehicles, when it comes to what his own words have been. He just pretends that he hasn't said them. And now he's talking about somehow Labor's policies in the past, or indeed at the moment, being about forcing people to do things. It's a bit rich coming from the guy who forced bushfire victims to shake his hand when he visited those communities like Cobargo. It's a bit rich for a government and a Prime Minister who, in spite of the fact there was a vote of the Australian people on marriage equality, still didn't accept that vote and refused to support that even after we'd been through a referendum. It's a bit rich for a government that has a range of measures which are punitive, but aimed towards pensioners, aimed towards poor people. The party of robo-debt wants to talk about freedoms when the party of robo-debt imposed massive costs on people who didn't actually owe anything at all and caused a great deal of trauma. We won't have from this government that believes in big government when it comes to imposing their will, that believes in big government when it terms trying to spend taxpayers' money on sports rights, on commuter car parks, the pork and ride scheme, and on other things. That's racked up $1 trillion of debt with nothing to show for it in terms of any major legacy. This is a government that is hypocrisy writ large. Last one. I believe that Australia can be very successful at lowering our emissions. And the reason why is because we have incredible advantages. We're standing here in Marrickville today. We have some of the best solar resources in the world, the best wind resources in the world. We have copper, lithium, zinc, all of these materials that go into a battery. We have incredible opportunity. I met this week with the proponents of the Sun Cable project. Sun Cable will be making the largest solar farm in the world, built in the Northern Territory, exporting energy to Singapore, helping to power Singapore. We can not only be successful nationally, we can be an exporter of clean energy. We can be a renewable energy superpower for the world. All it requires is government leadership. And for the Prime Minister this week to speak about business and the need for business to lead, well, business are way ahead of this government. In spite of this government trying to get rid of the renewable energy target, the Clean Energy Finance Corporation, the Australian Renewable Energy Agency, in spite of this government opposing net zero by 2050 for so long, in spite of this government being held back by climate skeptics, Australia has still reduced its emissions because of the actions of the business community, the actions of state and territory governments, be they Labor or Liberal, like the government here in New South Wales, and because, most importantly, the actions of the Australian people themselves, who get that by the shift to renewable energy, they're lowering their own power bills, showing as an example what we can do as a nation.